Hey there, fine arts family. Come on in. Band kids, choir, orchestra, theater, tech crew, dancers, show choir warriors. This is your space. So let's breathe in. And this is where we remember who we are. My name is Mike, the host of your Soundstage EDU podcast. And I just kind of want to continue on where we left off on the last podcast. Or maybe not left off, but just more of a continuation of thoughts. Some of you are walking into the school year all fired up and ready. Others are dragging your feet. And I see it in my house. Feet dragging every morning, wondering how you're going to balance rehearsals, homework. Some of you have jobs, family time, and all the noise that comes with being a teenager. And some of you, well, you're doubting yourselves already, that wondering if you can even get it done. So this episode is all for you, for all of you, not just all for you, for all of you, because I want to remind you of something deep in my soul. Your worth is not defined by a test score. It's not defined by a GPA, and it sure as heck isn't defined by whether or not you go to college. But your test scores and your GPA are important for this phase of your life. But what defines you is grit, the discipline to push through late nights, the determination to show up when you'd rather quit, and the courage to create art in a world that sometimes doesn't value it or even care much about it. Unless it's on the radio or unless it's on Netflix. That's the only art that society seems to care about. So let's talk about that. That grit is what makes fine arts kids unstoppable, because all of that stuff you see on TV, here on your Alexa, here on your Apple Music, whatever, all those started as fine arts kids. I guarantee it. And we're going to share some stories about that. But I'm going to be real with you right now. The world is loud. Schedules, assignments, rehearsals, jobs, family stuff. Man, it all stacks up and it gets heavy. But today is a reminder, that thing that separates you isn't perfect circumstances. It's not opportunity. It's not socioeconomics. It's not your place in the caste system. It's grit. It's that rehearsal focus that you already own. It's the way you take a note, make an adjustment, and come back stronger. That's your superpower. And when you bring that same energy into your academics, into your life, man, there is no ceiling. Administrators are watching. Your community is watching. Your teachers are watching. They see your test scores. Your family's watching. They see your attendance, your leadership. And whether they fully understand your art or not, they do understand results. When fine arts students are crushing it in class and on stage, the argument to protect and grow the arts writes itself. But when we coast, the argument to cut is right there too. So let's leave no doubt. So I said I was going to share some stories, and that's what we're going to do. I did some research and I wrote some things down. I took some notes myself. And we'll just kind of see how this goes. If this gets too long, I'll cut it short. It's the power of editing. But let's start with a story of someone that you know, especially my theater kids. And really, not just my theater kids, like all of you guys know this guy. His name is Lin-Manuel Miranda. There have been plenty of skits about this guy on TV shows like Saturday Night Live. I mean, I don't know if you guys are allowed to watch that. I do keep my kids from it a little bit because it's a little bit too risque, but the teenager, she gets to watch it. But I've heard things talked about this guy on late night TV shows and things like that. I didn't even really know who he was. I mean, I knew who he was, but I didn't care. I'll be honest. But I didn't know about him. He's a household name now. He's the genius behind Hamilton, In the Heights, Encanto, or as my youngest used to call it, Enchantico. That's another story for another day. But this guy, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's got Tonys, Grammys, an Emmy, a freaking Pulitzer Prize. Basically every award you could dream of. But before all of that, the real on this guy, he's just a theater kid. Theater kid like you. Fine arts kid like me. He was scribbling lyrics in his notebooks while his classmates were daydreaming. He was writing his first musical in college, scrapping together every bit of talent and grit that he had to do so. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for someone to tell him he was ready. He created, he worked, he failed. And then he worked some more. That's the grit I'm talking about. The kind that takes you from being another kid on stage to being someone who absolutely changes the game. And so like I said, he wrote his first musical as a student. He poured himself into theater, into storytelling, into the discipline of rehearsal and revision. And here's the key. He wasn't just talented. He worked. He worked harder than the people around him. He treated every project like it mattered, even when it was just for a school stage. That grit, that obsession with excellence is what made him unstoppable. And that just reminded me of another story of someone who has that same approach. Someone you might know, an influencer of sorts online, but I'll get back to that in just a second. I'm going to wrap up here with this story about Lin-Manuel Miranda and tell you that you don't have to be Miranda. I mean, I've seen this on the local level too. I mentored a student sound designer who came through a high school theater program. She started out shy and quiet and unsure of herself at the beginning, but by the time I met her, she was really showing up. She was eager for information. She was eager to learn what she had missed the last few years because it just wasn't available to her. But she listened to me. She took the advice that I had for her and she refined the craft. And she applied that same focus in her academics that she did behind the soundboard. And it was obvious. And by her senior year, she wasn't just running shows, she was winning awards. And guess what? College doors opened up wide for her because of that. Because colleges know that fine arts kids are built different. So when I say your success in the arts and in the classroom builds your future, I'm not blowing smoke. You are the proof. You are the data that administrators absolutely cannot ignore. Every test you ace, every GPA point that you raise, every scholarship you earn, it all builds a case that says cutting the arts is cutting excellence. Now, let me go back to that story that just popped into my head. He's a drummer. So for all you drummer kids that are listening, this one's about you. This one's for you. I believe, I know his name every time I see it, but when it pops into mind like this, I tend to forget it. I believe his name is Siberiano Estepario, or maybe it's Estepario Siberiano. I don't know. I don't remember. If you look up Estepario, you will find him. But he plays a drum set. And as a drummer, it really caught my attention because some of the things he does are just inhuman. Unbelievable talent, unbelievable sense of time. But here's what's really interesting about this guy. He will openly say that he does not have natural talent and that he does not believe in it. And I'm the same way. I don't believe in talent being natural or innate. It's something you work for. And he will talk about that often, about how he worked his butt off, about how he practiced, about how he used his art to dig himself out of a deep depression that he fell into during the pandemic. Yeah, depression. Mental health. It's a big topic these days. And he used his art to rescue himself, to dig out of that deep depression that he was falling into during the pandemic that a lot of us fell into. He started to practice. He practiced the boring stuff. And now, my gosh, there's no words for him. There are professionals out there dumbfounded by this guy's talent. He started his YouTube channel during the pandemic and probably has millions of followers now. And he's got his own lessons that he teaches. And it's not my style of drumming, but it is fantastic. And the fact that he tells you all the time, this is not natural. This is because I worked my butt off. That's where I'm at. That's what I want you guys to understand. That is not just talent. It's not that some other kids are smarter than you. It's just some kids just work harder than you. And it's time for you to step up. And I don't mean that harsh. That's just real. So let's go into another story here. This one is about a legend. Someone you may not know well, but there's a chance as a fine arts kid you've heard the name. And that name is Yo-Yo Ma, one of the greatest cellists of our time. So orchestra kids, perk up. Before the standing ovations and world tours, he was a little kid practicing his cello with his dad. He was a child prodigy, there's no doubt about that, who later studied at Juilliard and graduated from Harvard. That combination, technical rigor plus broad learning, shaped a musician who leads with both skill and humanity. But here's the part I want you to feel. During the pandemic, Yo-Yo Ma launched #Songs of Comfort. Just playing to ease people's hearts. No big production, just service through art. And then he and a pianist, Catherine Stott, turned that impulse into songs of comfort and hope. He also built Silk Road, which is a global collaboration of artists and educators that use music to connect cultures and deepen learning. That's artistry married to purpose. That's what grit looks like when it grows up. So your practice hours aren't only building chops, they're building character. Use that same steadiness on the math quiz, in the lab, when an essay isn't clicking. Mastery is not an event. It's a lifestyle. Now, here's one you may know. I know you know it. My kids know it, so you know it. And I know it. If I know it, you're going to know it, because I literally unplugged from a lot of pop culture. But Billie Eilish. You know that name? Billie Eilish did not wait for permission or a fancy studio. She and Phineas built songs in a bedroom. Ocean Eyes hit the internet when she was a young teen and changed everything. But it wasn't luck. It was relentless creating. It was relentless creation. And she went on to become the youngest ever Album of the Year winner at the Grammys, and later made Oscar history with 2 Best Original Song wins, first for No Time to Die, and then for What Was I Made For from Barbie. So start where you are. Make the thing with the tools that you have. Treat your English paper, your practice room, your tech block like it matters, because guess what, guys? It does. The discipline that you bring to your process today becomes the doors that open tomorrow. Now, because I'm old, thanks to my kids who remind me all the time about me being an old man, I'm going to share a story of someone from my time, from my generation. And guess what? You know who they are. You can't deny the queen bee, Beyoncé. Everybody sees Beyoncé's wins. But what I want you to see is the process. She holds the record for the most Grammy wins in history. a record set in 2023, and has continued adding since. But watch the documentary Homecoming. The Coachella performance wasn't magic. It was months of ruthless rehearsal, design, culture homework, and leadership. She became the first Black woman to headline Coachella, and the film shows her attention to detail, the grind, and the purpose behind every choice. That's not talent alone. That's sweat equity. Now, granted, I know there are things that surround this individual that are controversial, that are sus. I get that. I'm not saying I'm a big fan of her as a person or even as an artist. I mean, to be quite honest, I'm kind of tired of her sound. But her process, her grit, her grind is undeniable. So that leads me to tell you that excellence is built in the dark. Bring that 8 months of rehearsal energy to your semester. Calendar your study blocks like choreography. Protect your focus like it's tech week. Now, here's a guy, Ben Platt, who is a case study in leaping when your moment shows up. He trained for years, yes, but when opportunity called, he made a scary choice. He left Columbia after a few weeks to honor his contract in the Book of Mormon. That led to the role of a generation. Dear Evan Hansen. And at 23, he became the youngest solo winner ever for Best Leading Actor in a Musical. He didn't wait until everything felt safe. He took the shot and did the work. You can't control timing. You can't control... getting ahead of myself. You can't control timing, but you can control readiness. Do the daily work so that when the door cracks open, you can sprint right through it, because everybody else is going to be standing back and waiting for the time to be right. And I'm here to tell you, as a man who is almost 50 years old, the time is never right. You are never ready. You're never as ready as you want to be. The timing is never what you want it to be, but take your shot. Don't be, I'm going to use a hard word. Don't be a coward. Do it. You deserve it. So, here's another story about choirs, show choirs. Because I'm hoping that some of y'all latch onto this too, because you're important, you're fine arts. I hope you're here. If not, guys, share this. Share this with your show choir friends. Show choir is cool. They made a show about it once. It's cool. So I want to brag on two powerhouses that prove what consistent rehearsal plus academic discipline can build. The Clinton Attaché in Mississippi is a decades-long standard, multiple-time grand champions, official host of show choir nationals in Nashville, and an engine of professionalism. Students running backstage, guiding groups, doing the work nobody sees. Alumni? NSYNC's Lance Bass came through Attaché before launching into pop history. That's culture. That's excellence. And I mean, come on. NSYNC is old to me, okay? One of the first boy bands, and I couldn't freaking stand them, but I know Lance Bass is OG. He's old. I get it. That's where he came from. One of the most popular groups in the beginning of boy band culture. You know, like, let me latch on to something culture that's going on now that I see in my house regularly. The K-pop demon hunters, those K-pop girl groups and those K-pop boy bands. You can thank Lance Bass and NSYNC for that stuff. That's where that comes from. And he came through a high school group, a show choir. And then this other one, Carmel Ambassadors in Indiana. That is a model of sustained excellence. In 2025, they took grand champion at Show Choir Nationals with best vocals and best visuals. That's not a weekend fluke. Pardon me. That's a program and a community building habits year after year. So I want you to notice our championship habits transfer. If you layer harmonies at 6 a.m. and drill choreography at 10 p.m., you can absolutely structure your homework, prep for exams, and lead in your school and in your future career. And now, since we've been talking about marching band stuff for the last quite a few episodes, I'm going to point out a high school marching band. The Avon High School Marching Black and Gold. They're one of the most inspiring high school programs out there. They're in Indiana, and for decades, Avon has been a force on the field. They've earned multiple Bands of America Grand National Championships, countless ISSMA state titles, and represented the arts on national stages like Tournament of Roses Parade and Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. But what makes Avon special isn't the trophies. It's the culture, the consistency, the refusal to settle for average. And just this year, their longtime leader, I think now just became the actual head director in 2023, but he was one of the assistants for a long time and just a force in the band. Matt Harloff, he's been part of that journey since the 90s, was just inducted into the Drum Corps International Hall of Fame. Think about that for a second. A high school band director recognized at the highest level of the marching arts, standing shoulder to shoulder with legends who shaped drum corps history. Could you imagine what it would be like to be in that high school band? But here's what I love about Avon's story. Their climb wasn't about a straight path to winning. It was about grit over the years. Building a culture where students give their best rehearsal, or they give their best at every rehearsal, where the staff refuses to coast, and where excellence is a daily pursuit, not just a finals night dream. You don't have to win nationals tomorrow to build a legacy. You don't even have to get into finals at KMEA. You just show up. You grind. You elevate your program year after year from where it's at. And if you do that, like Avon, you'll find yourself standing in places you never thought possible. Hall of Fame moments born out of high school hallways. And this building that I say, you build your program, elevate your program year after year, I'm talking about you. Build yourself. You're the program. Year after year. Once you leave high school, you keep building on that excellence, and you will go far in your life. Now, I'm going to say something personal. I've got 3 bachelor's degrees: music education, criminal justice, and psychology. Don't ask where I was going with that, because clearly you look at that, I really don't know. I had an idea, but it didn't pan out. So how many of those degrees do I use day to day? Basically none of them. What moves the needle in my job are certifications and the skills I built on the floor under pressure. Grit. Grit I acquired through years of fine arts training. So here's my heart for you. College, university, it's a great path, especially to deepen your craft and network. Go for scholarships, audition, chase it if that's your dream. But don't let anyone tell you it's the only path to legitimacy. If money is tight, life is complicated, or if you already know exactly what you want to build or what you want to do, go do it. There are other doors. What matters here is grit, discipline, character, and consistent output. So want some real options that you can pursue? These are real pathways that you can start this semester. I don't care how old you are. Just go seek them out. See if it's possible at your age. You never know. But technical certifications and apprenticeships. Audio engineering, lighting, live sound, stage managing, editing, design. The event industry and houses of worship hire for skill, not credentials. Community and regional theaters. Audition, volunteer on crew, learn every station, immerse yourself. This is a fun one. It's for you kids. This is one that you can really latch onto. Digital platforms. Create and release your own music, your own scenes, choreography, design reels. Publish consistently and iterate. Don't listen to the noise when you do that either. That's my cautionary tale to you guys. People will come along and they'll hate it, but there will also be people who come along and love it. And one of these days you'll get that exposure that someone that needs to hear it will hear it and take it into the stratosphere. If you have the ability to create, do it. Refine it. Get better at it. Take the constructive criticism, but don't listen to the people that tell you that it sucks. If it's good to you, it's good to someone else. Apprenticeships and internships. Shadow a TD, a choir director, a choreographer. Ask to help and be excellent at the basics. On time, organized, teachable. Those are the basics you need to focus on. And then the gig economy for creatives. Weddings, recitals, church gigs, corporate events, local festivals. Performer or technician. Talent or support. Find your niche. But build your client list. And start building that list now. And I know it's hard. Guys like me will look at you funny or not take you seriously. And why? I'll be honest. Because you're young. You're untested. So this is where your grit comes into play. You persist. But you do so professionally and not like a pest. You get my attention through that grit. And one day, I'll put you on my labor list. Or on my talent list. And it'll either be because I believe you or I'm just tired of you asking. And even if that's the case, listen, that's your chance. Take it. Because when I call, you come correct and ready, and that's when you are in. But whatever path you choose, keep your academics tight. It's not about chasing a number. It's about proving you can learn, communicate, deliver on time, and lead. Those are forever skills. As an employer, I don't care about your degree. I don't care what it is. My big concern, at a level where I'm seeking a degreed professional, I like to see that you just frickin' did it. That you committed to that time, to that rigor, to that assignment, and you understood it. That's what I like. So let's turn your rehearsal brain into an academic brain. In rehearsal, you mark beats. In class, mark tasks. Read, outline, draft, revise, submit. In an ensemble, you tune to the chord. In your study environment, tune your environment. Phone in another room. 30 to 50-minute sprints. 5-minute break, repeat. And by sprint, I mean a study sprint. Or you can do what I do. And I subscribe to the 20-20-20 rule. I work in a small office with no windows. It is imperative that I get up every 20 minutes and look at something at least 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That resets me. That resets my eyes. That resets my brain. Sometimes I just simply walk out of my office and I stare down the stairs at the dog and we have a little conversation. And that's what I need. And that keeps me on task and keeps me focused. Tune your environment. In tech, you run Q to Q. In life, run routines. Wake time, study blocks, rehearsal, sleep. Sustainable is better than heroic. And in feedback, you say thank you and you adjust. In class, use office hours, accept correction, and iterate without ego. So Yo-Yo Ma showed us artistry that serves. Billie Eilish showed us DIY discipline that scales. Beyoncé showed us that obsession with process beats hype every time. And Ben Platt showed us how preparation meets courage. The Clinton Attaché and Carmel Ambassadors showed us what program culture can do when everyone commits. Recognize the pause, y'all. Program culture. And Avon showed us what grit can produce. Now it's you. You're building the next 10 years of your life with what you do in the next 10 weeks. The way you show up to first period, to rehearsal, to that lab, to that essay, that's you laying down track for the train for you to ride on. The track that you want to ride on. Here's a grit story for you. Gardner Edgerton High School. Gardner, Kansas, the Midwest. Man, you know what? Those of you that are here, you know how hot it is. It's hot. It's been hot for the past couple days, like dangerously hot. Hot enough that recess has been canceled at the elementary school for the last couple of days because it's just too freaking hot. It's dangerous. My little comes home and she wants to ride her bike in the driveway and go outside and play. And I have to tell her, no, you can't because it's not safe. And she can read now, so we have to show her the weather alerts that we get. And she kind of understands, but she doesn't. She just wants to go play. But my big kid, she's in cross country, not at the high school yet. She's in the middle school, high school, or middle school, high school. She's in the middle school cross country team. And they ran in the hallways because it was so hot. The high school, however, here's a grit. They couldn't run in the high school, in the hallways. They had to run outside, and they had to do it before band camp because half those kids are in band. Or not band camp, but band rehearsal, because band rehearsal starts early. But guys, you know what time they started the other day? Yesterday? They started at 5 a.m. I'm like, heck no, bro. If that was my kid that had to be there at 5 a.m., she'd have to find her way there. She'd have to phone a friend, get a ride, because I ain't getting up at 4:30 to bring you down. No. That's grit I no longer possess these days. I'll be real, guys. 5 a.m. That's grit. That's culture. So, I don't know why I said that, but I did. Deal with it. So here's a challenge for you guys. Pick 2 classes. Why not 3? Why not all of them? Just pick 2. Start somewhere. And set a specific performance goal. Raise your next test score by 10 points. Finish your paper 2 days early. That's a topic that comes up in my house a lot. Finish your homework early, not on time. If there's anyone from my past here that they know what's coming next, not on time. Why? Because on time is late. Early is on time. On time is late. Late is unacceptable. And I tell my kids that repeatedly all the time. In high school drumline kids, when I show up at your school, that's something you're going to hear a lot. Early is on time. Don't even question it. Block your week. It's your next challenge. Like a tech schedule. Non-negotiable study sprints on your calendar. 3, find a mentor. Ask one question. And act on the feedback within 48 hours and report back to them. For my creatives, ship or produce or post one thing. A practice recording. A design draft. A monologue clip. A mix. Publish or submit it. Yes, I know. I'm telling you to add one thing to your already crowded task list and telling you to start creating something for your portfolio. Write a song. There's plenty of software out there now where we can create music. So do it. If you got it, do it. And importantly, lift somebody else. Help a section mate with a tricky rhythm. Run lines with a classmate. Work on auditions that are coming up. Find a friend. Go to the coffee shop. Buy a coffee and run the rehearsal line. Or not the audition line. Even if it's one line, make it perfect. Make it exceptional. Or fix a cable before anyone asks. Fix something that somebody hasn't seen. This is culture. And culture multiplies. So, fine arts kids, hear me out. You're not just performers. You're not just creators. You're builders. Builders of culture, builders of lives. Your grit is your competitive advantage. Whether your path runs through college, certifications, apprenticeships, or straight into professional work, you can. You will. And you should. So get out there. Bring your rehearsal discipline to your academics. Protect your programs by being undeniable students. And then go make something brave this week. I'll be cheering for you. Front row. No notes. No feedback. Just pride. I want to thank you guys. This is Mike from Soundstage EDU, where grit meets creativity and students learn to outwork their limits and their peers. Signing off for the day. Until next time, keep creating, keep learning, keep shining, keep doing the thing. And most importantly, let's raise the bar together.